Preparing to live stream the meeting. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, nearly forgot. I see me. I do apologize for a little bit of a delay here. I'll be with you in a moment. I've got to do one thing, just so I stay in touch with what's happening here. Right. Okay, I got you. I got you. Right. Okay. So, 3, 2, 1. Right. Hi there, everybody. This is John Drew here from Elevated Planet.
Angela Gabrielle here from Elevated Planet, and we'd like to welcome you to today's show. And John is going to tell us more about it.
Yeah, it's again, ever the excitement of unfolding week-on-week dramas and opportunities to explore this change of consciousness a little bit deeper. And it's really interesting. It's been a very interesting week actually. And as I was talking to Jolie earlier, and you may have seen the video, I released a short sub 7 minute video the other day on this, but this was the interview I did with a lady called Suzanne Stiles, who we've known for a while at Elevated Planet, and she brought out this book here, God in the Machine, which is an excellent book. It's really eye-opening. And so we did the interview on it, and we might even create a podcast out of it because it really does need to be shared. And it's available in the UK. I don't know whether it's available outside of the UK at this point, but certainly if anybody has an interest, let me know, or let us at Elevated Planet know, and we can pass that on to Suzanne and she can make sure that you can get a copy. But I brought out the interview, which was entitled, How Would You Destroy the Minds of the Youth Today? And that was a question that Suzanne had asked of her AI companion. So the book was written in conjunction with AI, and that's what makes it so interesting because it's kind of always the responses that come back are always completely neutral without bias, and therefore very factual, very unemotional. And the answer to that question was quite incredible because there was a long list of how you would destroy the minds of the youth today. And the most incredible thing about it, I have my daughter living over in Los Angeles, Stephanie, and that what this described as how you would destroy the minds of today, minds of the youth today, is how she is living her life along with her friends over in Los Angeles, trying desperately to kind of make the rent check every month and still having enough money to feed themselves, and desperately bouncing around from one job to the next, staying so busy that they don't get time to take a step back and consider the wider aspects of life. And this is all by design. So this is what this very short video is about. Now, there is a longer interview of over an hour, which I had with Suzanne, which I will release this week, along with another one I did with a lady called Ashley Mosaic, who's, again, that just has to be seen. I'm going to take a little brief extract of that one as well before we bring out the main one. But yeah, it's all really interesting stuff. And it tells you that we're going through very changing times now. And there have been manipulative forces at play that have created what we're in today, which is a fairly chaotic world, which is likely to get ever more chaotic. But nevertheless, it's all part of a grand organized design. This is to take us to where we're going. And sometimes the old things have to break in order for the new things to be created. And that's a lot of what this show is about today. It is about working out how we are evolving consciousness. And of course, we've got the wonderful Pam Gregory. First time she's featured on the show for a good few months now, but we've always been big admirers of Pam's work. So we talk about humanity's energetic revolution of state, as you will be aware. And we've also got Amar Energy, with whom she is having a conversation, which is really, really well done by the both of them. So that's really eye-opening. And then we go over to Heng, who's this kind of Buddhist monk kind of guy. And he is really good. really that section that is comes from him, a lot of information, so much to digest, but it is absolutely on message where the world is now and where the humanity has an opportunity to move and to spot the signs along the way. So that is something that I wanted to mention. The other thing, but what we're going to start with, we spoke last week about the solar flash, and we're going to begin this week in a similar fashion. And there's a good reason for that. There's been a lot of space weather going on over these last 3 days in particular, where we've seen solar flares, very large solar flares, and plasma ejections from the sun. And they are going to hit Earth over these next few days. Could be as early as today, and certainly tomorrow, highly likely. In fact, it's happening tomorrow, and then throughout the rest of the week. I'm just going to share with you actually one visual here, which helps to kind of show you what this is about, because there's some really important information here. So this lady, again, she's a YouTuber, and the likes of Stefan Burns and the likes, and all the other major space weather people tend to follow her quite closely because she's really good at what she does. But this is what we're looking at for Sunday, June the 1st, storm watch, 85% chance of a severe storm. So that is a plasma storm that is going to be hitting the ionosphere of the planet. And therefore, that has, sometimes there can be big weather implications. Sometimes it can trigger earthquakes, it can trigger volcanic activity, and sometimes it can affect actual physical weather on the planet as well. And then tomorrow is when it's at its strongest, where it's going to be the 90% chance of a severe storm, but also a very high likelihood of us being able to see the Aurora Borealis coming much further south than usual. I know it's happened a couple of times over the last year or so, but that will be so Monday night will be a good night to watch the skies, because you may well be able to see an aurora. In fact, during this entire week, it's possible. And all this does is it takes us up to Thursday. And this is based off the three storms that we've seen and the three ejections, lots of ejections that we've already seen from the sun. So bearing in mind, if anything happens over these next 2-3 days, it will add impact to what we've already got here. So where it says going down to Wednesday as a 35% chance and then 25% on the Thursday, that's assuming nothing further happens. So that's something to be mindful of. Anyway, let's stop share on that. Yeah, so interesting time. So that's a good reason to focus on that, really, because it's quite likely that we'll see some energetic chaos, and it can result in radio wave blackouts. So if you kind of lose reception and the rest of it for a while, you'll know the reason why it's happening. No fear is required on this. It's all part of the changes that are taking place on the planet, the electrification of the planet, the upgrade of the planet, which in turn is upgrading us as well. So anyway, I think we will be moving towards that first section. But before we do, I'm going to reach out to Jolie and say, Jolie, is there anything you would care to add?
No, John, I think you summed it up nicely. However, I'm just in awe of the way Mother Earth is sending messages, and so
Yes,
it's exciting times. So let's move forward with the show.
indeed. Let's do that. So bear with me, everybody. Here we go.
We wish to address the phenomenon many of you know as the Great Solar Flash. There is much speculation and anticipation among awakened souls about this event. We want to clarify that this Great Solar Flash is not a doomsday or destructive apocalypse, but rather a monumental vibrational pulse from your sun, a wave of higher frequency light emanating from source through your solar portal. It is an evolutionary catalyst. This pulse of light is designed to trigger a mass awakening and an acceleration of consciousness on your world. Some have felt fear about this, worrying it might bring chaos or devastation. We assure you that its true purpose is to uplift and transform, not to harm. Yes, such a surge of energy will likely shake loose many dense energies and outdated structures, both within human beings and in societal systems. But that is a necessary part of the collective awakening process. Think of the great solar flash as a divine reset or a cosmic illumination. When this wave comes, many of you will experience it as a major elevation in your state of being, a feeling of deep peace, love, and unity sweeping through you. Some may even feel a surge of inspiration and clarity about their purpose. Each person will interpret and integrate the energy in the manner most appropriate for their journey. After this great pulse subsides, life on Earth will not be the same, not because of destruction, but because of illumination. Dormant potentials within you will be activated, including crystalline codes in your light bodies and DNA. In truth, this flash has been building in stages. Smaller waves of solar and cosmic energy have already been preparing you. Each solar flare or burst of energy you experience is part of this greater process. Rather than fearing the flash, see yourselves as surfers riding progressively larger waves of light. You are learning to maintain your balance and poise so that when the big wave arrives, you meet it with readiness and joy. When it does, many truths long hidden will become clear in the collective awareness.
So I believe the great solar flash will happen, and I recall Drunvalo Melchizedek had previously suggested to Viola Rose that this would happen before 2030. And rather than it being something to be feared, he was definitely excited about what this is destined to do for humanity. So this broadcast by the Galactic Federation is absolutely consistent with what Drunvalo has suggested, therefore worth emphasizing, as there are those who would use this prophecy to increase fear, when in reality it is something to be embraced. It is the evolutionary catalyst that triggers the mass awakening, an acceleration of consciousness, and a divine illumination. In last week's show, during Miriam's near-death experience, Jesus said that by 2030 nothing would be the same. I believe that remaining consistent with Drunvalo and Jesus, this is the reason. Crystalline codes are to be activated in our light bodies and DNA. And many people are aware of the solar flares that have been reaching the planet over recent months in particular. And as the Earth's electromagnetic field is quite diminished, more of that energy will reach us and the planet. So, grab your boards, let's go surfing those energy waves in preparation for the excitement of what is to come. Anyway, the next section reintroduces us to the wonderful astrologer Pam Gregory and the highly impressive Amar energy, who exists to make the woo-woo real. Amar's words, not mine. What follows is a truly impressive exchange.
A few months ago, I was talking to Dr. Jude Currivan, who's a brilliant cosmologist, and she was saying in pure physics law, it's exactly as you say, that chaos actually has the greatest potential for a jump in a state of being, because all of the energy is freed up and turbulent. It's like a kettle boiling, and it's a change of state from water to steam. So it has the greatest potential for this jump in the state of being. And also, I think when we see the collapse of the old world, and that is evidence that we are making this shift, but it's also a great reminder of we're not going to do this again.
No.
I mean, if you look at the war, the poverty, the disease, the misery, that acts, particularly since early 2020 with the pandemic, I mean, that has acted, I would say, despite all the horror that followed from that and continues, that was a massive catalyst for people to say, do you know what? We are not going to live in a world like this.
Yeah.
We as humanity are going to choose to create a more loving world, because this isn't working out in any good way for anybody on any level.
No.
So, and this, this, I call it a kind of energy revolution, because an energy revolution in terms of the physics that you've so beautifully described, But also, it doesn't mean we have to fight on the streets. That's one way, you go out and you protest, you've got a placard. That's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is the quiet revolution, the quiet energy revolution of, I'm going to choose to turn off the news. I'm going to choose not to listen to the narratives. I'm going to choose not to drop into fear. I'm going to choose to live in joy from the moment my feet hit the floor. I'm going to choose to connect to like-minded people who also want to build a more loving world. All of those are mini, micro, and macro choices through my days, but it is an energetic revolution of state in all of those choices that I'm making. And I do that very consciously and very vigorously on a minute-by-minute basis. And I know many of the people I know are doing that too, because we're just not going to do this again. We've been going around that hamster wheel of war, misery, poverty, disease forever.
Yeah.
And we've now left the tram tracks of the predictability of the old world. And this is our biggest opportunity that humanity has ever been given in any lifetime to make that jump into an ascended state of being. And I'm not going to make a pig's ear of it.
No, nor am I. And it is exciting because it is a choice. It is a crossroads that you can decide door A or door B, and one is the same old thing we've done for the past several thousand years, and we see where that has gotten us. And I think back in 2020 it was Mother Nature putting us in timeout, saying you're clearly not listening. It's time for you to really take a long, hard look. And I think what I see as a result of that global lockdown was collectively we began to ask some deeper questions, and we began to withdraw our support. We divested our energetic support in those old institutions, whether consciously or unconsciously. And what we're seeing now is the result of that. And I think that many people would say, well, be careful what you wish for. No, I would say be mindful of it and understand that it will have a consequence. But that consequence doesn't have to be a bad thing. We are in a place where we have never been. We are ironically freer than ever before. We just haven't necessarily woken up to it collectively. And to your point, and this is something my guide said from the beginning. They said, your job is not to put out the fire. Your job is to build something new so that when the fire goes out, those who have been in it will have somewhere to go, will have another option, will have something to see. And I think that so many of us, what we're doing now is living through that example, because the people that resonate with what you talk about and what I talk about may realize that we're all talking about the same 10 spiritual principles. Most of us are talking about the same ideas, but it's the lens through which it is broadcast that people are connected to, right? Someone who looks at you and says, oh, Pam reminds me of my sister or my friend or my neighbor or a colleague or someone that I can connect with. They may not love my filter, and so they connect with you. The more of us that are out there in an authentic expression of whatever that is, the more there is a place for someone who's waking up and going, I don't like this anymore. I don't want to do it like this anymore. There has to be another way. Click. There's this whole other half of society who is living in another way. I know that's quite a tangent, but what this is bringing.
I think it's spot on. I think it's spot on.
Thank you. It's all the Mercury in my chart. I just love to flit from subject to subject. Yeah.
I think it's spot on because it's really what Buckminster Fuller was saying. He's one of my big heroes because he said much more eloquently than I remember, but he was basically saying, don't waste energy and time fighting the old system. Create something that is so much better. And then everybody will say, do you know, I want to go there.
Yeah.
Chaos is a prerequisite for change. We've said it numerous times. People have to be shaken out of their comfortable existence in order to find a better way. Without chaos, we would find a way to carry on despite seeing darkness around us. Through chaotic energies, we are blessed with the opportunity to see things through a new lens, to understand who we truly are as magnificent creator beings who have been discouraged from seeing this beautiful reality for millennia. In that realization, we are able to live in joy. We see the media narratives for what they are and simply withdraw our consent to be drawn in. And choosing to connect to like-minded people who want to build a more loving world is what we are all about. A community that is in the process of creating a world of unspeakable beauty. This is our energetic revolution of state, as Pam so beautifully put it. To Amar's point, the consequences of withdrawing our consent in those old, controlling, outdated institutions who, regardless of what they may say, do not have humanity's best interests at heart, is that we're choosing to take our power back. Amar's guides told him, your job is not to put out the fire, your job is to build something new so that when the fire goes out, those who have been in it will have somewhere to go. Meanwhile, Pam spoke about Buckminster Fuller, who said, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Or, as per the mission statement of Elevated Planet, the secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Socrates may also have said something similar too. So it seems Amar, Pam, Elevated Planet, and Socrates are all singing from the same hymn sheet. So, Jolie, what would you care to add?
Oh, John, you summed that up so nicely. So briefly, I'm just going to reiterate what I said last show. Like when you take these religions and these thought processes that have come into, I guess you would call them concrete in religious organizations, it's all the same. Be a good person, love thy neighbor. And it's very interesting how that whole thing has created offshoots or branches and iterations. But at the end of the day, each one of us has the ability and the power to interpret that in a certain way for our own environment and our own journey. However, we all know that there are rules, there are regulations, and there are patterns, which I'm so grateful for, which allow us the building blocks of building something new. And so what I'm trying to say, I guess, is take the old, the foundations that have built all these great religions and all these great institutions, honor, justice, knowledge, wisdom, power, and really bring them down and put them on you, apply them to your life so that you can build something new. Because again, as my mentor told me, Lori Lampson, she says, once you have mastery over the rules, then you can start to break them and then you can build something new.
Beautiful. Yeah, a bit of Laurie wisdom never goes far astray, that's for sure. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Jolie. Okay, right, on to the next section.
It's never the center, and this is something I've been talking a lot about. The center can't move itself. The consensus reality, the average, is average because there's the extreme to the high end and the extreme to the low end, but the center cannot abandon itself. It only moves when those on the high end decide to push further. And that, I think, is where we are, is we're seeing the center move. And I understand how terrifying that is for many people. You know, I look at my parents and they're of the, you know, if you see it on the news, then it must be true, right? They're of that mindset. And I understand where they're coming from. And I understand the reluctance to abandon that very solid worldview that offered a sense of safety and comfort and stability. But that is not where the center is moving. We're moving away from that. And so to give people an opportunity to perhaps see things in a way they hadn't considered before is what I think humans do, right? That's why we're seeing Olympic records get shorter and shorter and shorter. You know, I remember when I was a kid watching the Olympics, the idea of a 5-minute mile was unheard of. And then someone's a 4-minute mile, and now it's below 4 minutes. And so when one human witnesses another human doing something that they previously had been told was impossible or couldn't be done, it suddenly cracks open that worldview and they go, whoa, I guess everybody was wrong. I can run a 3-minute mile because she just did it. And I think that's what our duty is, to be the example. Bless you.
Thank you.
To be the example of what else is possible, of the other way, because not everyone is here to lead the charge, and that's fine, but I can leave the gate open behind me so that when you do reach the point where you're ready to ask a deeper question and choose something else, you have at least one example of what that could be.
Yep, and it's a shift in the morphogenic field, isn't it? It's like, you know, the apocryphal story that literally happened of, it was on a particular island in the Pacific, and the monkeys used to eat a lot of sweet potatoes, but they were usually covered in dirt. Known as a kind of super smart Mensa level monkey who discovered she could wash her sweet potato in the sea. And that caught on across the islands without them having mobile phones and telling the other monkeys on the other islands. It was just lodged in the morphogenic field. And so every moment that you and I, Amar, can live in love and joy and peace and compassion and gratitude, that is feeding into the morphogenic field and helping the collective, as you so eloquently say, shift their center to something better. So we have a great, and particularly I feel this, and I'm sure you feel it too, as somebody who's out there as a YouTuber, I have a very strong sense of spiritual responsibility that every video I put out will leave people better than I found them. It's almost like the content of, my slaving over the dates and the degrees and the minutes is the less important part. It's an energy exchange.
Yeah.
Every video is an energy exchange, and I want to leave people better than I found them. Otherwise, I won't bother.
Yeah.
So if we all can act like that with that sense of spiritual responsibility, we are just accelerating that shift in the collective to make this ascension happen even faster with even greater momentum. And now I started with this very terribly simple idea of a free 15-minute meditation on a Sunday evening. No Zoom, no tech, no recordings. People just energetically connect with their hearts around the world and set clear intentions for highest highest good of self, etc., highest good of all, highest good of the earth, etc. And I give them kind of broad guidelines, but now we're doing that every night because people have requested that the world is in such a state we do that every night. And just people are having these incredible experiences with a huge amount of telepathy between people of what they're seeing. A lot of people are seeing this grid of light get stronger and brighter and bigger across the earth every time they do that. Very tall, benevolent beings coming in, armies of them to support our efforts. And this is all for free, sitting on your sofa at home.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay anything, go on a course, go anywhere, and we can do that. Every single one of us can do that. And I can't join every night because of commitments. But if we can join 2 or 3 nights in those meditations, we are making a difference in the world. And if you can't be on the ground delivering aid to war zones, and if you're not sure the money is going to get through to the people, there is no better thing to do than that.
Yeah.
Energetically shift the collective to a higher state of being.
I believe that the world around us is a result of our collective consciousness, which has been encouraged by the powers that were to be as low frequency as they could get it, using the media to create narratives of fear and anger that we've been conditioned and programmed to accept as fact. The awakening of humanity is underway, and with that we get to choose to step into our joy, or at the very least divine neutrality whilst sat on our eagle's perch, not getting drawn into the drama. This increases the overall frequency of the collective consciousness, and that in turn draws us ever closer to the solar flash, which will then leapfrog the collective consciousness in a way where it will never return to the density we see playing out around us right now. The process of remembering who we really are as aspects of divinity begins the process of us stepping back into the magnificence of our sovereign power. And to Pam's point, this all feeds into the morphogenic field that in turn awakens others. Before long, we will all be washing our metaphorical sweet potatoes in the ocean. I love what Pam says about spiritual responsibility and her videos being an energy exchange, and that she always aims to leave people feeling better because of this energy exchange. Similarly, Jolie and I desire exactly the same, though as Amar has previously pointed out, different styles of communication are necessary as everyone interprets things through their own filters, and that is as it should be. And we always encourage discernment and that people research points that we make for themselves. Also to tap into their intuition to see if it just feels right. As for Pam's initiative with her 15-minute meditations in this simplest of all formats, you've just got to love it. And I'm personally going to commit myself to giving it a go. There is a link to Pam's video that outlines the meditation to magnetize New Earth in the description below for anyone to explore. If you want to share how you get on, put a note in the comments or let us know via our website elevatedplanet.life/contact. So, with that said, Jolie, as Elevated Planet's resident expert in the field of meditation, what would you care to add?
That's so beautiful how she speaks of the morphogenic field and the 100th monkey theory of how once one monkey figured out how, or the 100th monkey figured out to wash the sweet potato, how it went into the morphogenic field and now all the monkeys know how to do that worldwide. Isn't that amazing? And so it works the same way with humanity. And that's why I am adamant about having the individual, or even me, us, work on ourselves and take responsibility for how we're showing up and behaving first, because that's truly where it begins. And then the light goes forward, and then it reverberates out from us. And that way it can affect our environment and other people. And then we can change and shift this into something that looks like John said, we are really trying to move, or not even trying, like Yoda says, don't try, do. We are moving us to unspeakable beauty through our work with exploring the spirituality, UAPs, and other thought forms and even life forms or ways of looking at things and perspectives, which lets more light in. And so we really are all about love and acceptance, especially when it comes to loving others, being kind, and expanding on light-based and high-frequency energy. And it's truly an honor and a privilege to do this work. And so we would like to help create a bunch of 100th Monkey projects in different ways. And that's what we are here to do.
I love that. Yeah, let's all get our monkeys on and let's see what we can achieve in the world. So fantastic. Thank you, Jolie. So in this next section, we introduce you to Heng Yi, who is the founder of the Shaolin Temple in Europe. It's a Buddhist community in Germany where he is responsible for the physical and mental training of visitors, masters, students, and disciples of the Shaolin order. His teaching methods and YouTube videos have earned him a large international following. And when you watch this next clip, you will understand why.
There's something happening inside you, something deeper than logic can explain. You felt it in your bones, in your dreams, in the strange shifts of time and energy that seem to follow you around. You're not imagining things. This isn't coincidence. It's not random. What you're going through right now is part of a sacred awakening. You are being called, chosen to step into a higher dimension of consciousness, one that most people don't even know exists. And if this message found its way to you, it's because you're already in the middle of it. This is not just another spiritual idea or a passing trend. This is real. This is happening now. You are standing at the edge of a new reality, the fifth dimension, and whether you realize it yet or not, your soul has already begun the journey. You may have noticed unusual sensations in your body, tingling, heat surges, pressure behind your eyes, or waves of deep fatigue followed by sudden bursts of energy. Your emotions feel heavier or more sensitive. Time seems to stretch or collapse in ways that confuse you. You might wake up feeling like you've been somewhere else entirely, like you're living between two worlds. These signs are not accidents. They are signals from your body, your spirit, and the universe itself, letting you know that something ancient and divine is unfolding within you. And if you've ever wondered why you don't quite fit into the world anymore, why certain parts of life feel hollow or fake, it's because your soul no longer belongs to the old system. You were born into one dimension but destined for another. You are transitioning, transforming into a being who can carry higher light, life from truth, and walk as a bridge between the seen and unseen. This book will guide you through every stage of this transformation, what it means, how it feels, and why you were chosen. If you've ever questioned your purpose, your sensitivity, or the strange pull you feel towards something greater, this is your moment to understand. Because the fifth dimension is not a fantasy, it's not some distant future event. It's here, it's alive, and it's calling your name. What is the fifth dimension? To truly understand what's happening to you, you need to know what the fifth dimension actually is and what it isn't. First off, it's not about leaving your body behind or becoming some kind of supernatural entity overnight. That's not what this shift is about. Instead, the fifth dimension is a higher frequency of reality, a new layer of existence where love, intuition, peace, and divine alignment become the foundation of how you live, think, and feel. In the third dimension, the one most people live in life is built on survival, ego, fear, and separation. Most people are caught up in systems that keep them distracted, stressed, and disconnected from their true selves. In the fourth dimension, there's a beginning of spiritual awakening. People start questioning their lives, sensing a deeper meaning, and feeling a longing for something more. But the fifth dimension, that's where everything changes. Here, your heart becomes your compass. Time starts to feel fluid rather than rigid. Energy becomes your primary language. You begin to see life as an interconnected web of divine purpose. Duality begins to dissolve, judgment fades, fear loses its grip, and love becomes your natural state. You stop reacting to life and start responding with awareness. You sense energy in people and places. You trust your intuition without hesitation. You move in alignment even when you don't have all the answers. This shift doesn't happen overnight, and it's not something you force. It unfolds as your frequency rises, and your frequency rises as you release what no longer serves your soul. Parts of your old life may fall apart not because you're doing something wrong, but because they were never meant to survive this transition. Only what is true can remain. So if you've been wondering why you feel different lately, why the world feels unfamiliar, why your heart pulls you in directions that make no logical sense, this is why. You're not broken, you're being rebuilt, you're entering a new reality, and you were chosen for this path long before you even knew it existed. Mental rewiring. How your mind is changing. As your body adjusts to this new energy, so does your mind. You may have noticed that thoughts you once believed without question are now being challenged by a deeper knowing. You're beginning to see through illusions you used to accept as truth. You're less affected by fear-based patterns, less concerned with what others think, and less likely to believe every worry your mind creates. This isn't apathy, it's growth. It's your inner self choosing to live by divine truth instead of worldly noise. You're starting to realize that your thoughts have weight, that your focus creates momentum. With every passing day, you're discovering that you have a choice. You can think like the old version of yourself, or you can choose to align with the divine version of you that's rising. Old beliefs are being uprooted. The voices that told you you're not enough are being silenced. The limits that shaped your identity are dissolving. At times it may feel confusing or disorienting, and that's okay. Your mind is stepping out of survival mode and into alignment with your soul. You may also notice that negativity feels heavier than before, that gossip, complaining, or low-vibe conversations leave you drained. That's not sensitivity, that's energetic intelligence. Your mind is aligning with the frequency of the fifth dimension, where thoughts carry light, truth, and intention. Time itself feels different. Days seem to fly by. The past feels like a dream. That's because your mind is stepping out of linear time and into divine timing, a place where you're no longer bound by what was, but guided by what is and what can be. If your thoughts have changed, if your inner dialogue has softened, if you're catching your own negativity and correcting it with love, then congratulations. You are experiencing mental rewiring. This is your sign that a new timeline is unfolding, one where your mind serves your spirit, not the other way around. Emotional detox, letting go of the old. With this shift comes an emotional detox, a sacred and necessary part of your journey. As your frequency rises, your body can no longer hold onto emotional baggage tied to lower vibrations. Pain, resentment, anger, guilt, these emotions are anchors, keeping your spirit tied to the old dimension. Now your soul is pushing them out. You might feel it all at once or in waves. One moment you're overcome with grief over memories you thought you'd buried. The next you're hit with joy for no reason. Don't suppress it. Don't shame yourself for feeling it. This is holy work. You were never meant to carry these wounds forever. You were only meant to pass through them, learn from them, grow, and now release. When the emotional body clears, spiritual energy flows. That's why you feel lighter after crying. That's why certain memories suddenly lose their sting. That's why you're no longer reactive to the same triggers. This isn't weakness, it's freedom. During this phase, you may find yourself grieving relationships, identities, or even past versions of yourself. This grief is sacred too. It's the death of the old self, the one who survived, who held pain like armor. That self carried you far, but it cannot go where you're going now. The fifth dimension is built on spiritual truth. Only what aligns with love, peace, and authenticity can enter. So let the tears come. Let the laughter rise. Let the silence speak. Every release is a step closer to the truth of who you are. If today you feel like breaking down, know this: you're not alone. You're not weak. You are healing. You are shedding the old so the new can rise. 1. Physical transformation, what your body is going through. There's a shift happening inside you, one that goes far beyond what your eyes can see or your mind can immediately understand. It's not something you've chosen consciously, nor is it something you can stop. This transformation has already begun, and it's unfolding in every cell, every breath, every heartbeat. You are being recalibrated at the deepest level of your being. You may have started noticing subtle changes over time, or perhaps they came on suddenly, like a wave crashing over you without warning. Headaches that pulse behind your eyes for no apparent reason. A tingling sensation that runs through your limbs as if electricity is flowing just beneath your skin. Pressure in your chest that feels like something is trying to expand from within. These aren't random occurrences. They're part of a sacred process, a physical rebirth into higher frequency living. At times you might feel waves of energy surge through your body unexpectedly. One moment you're buzzing with power, clarity, and vitality. The next, you're drained, heavy, and exhausted. This ebb and flow is completely normal during this phase. Your body is learning how to hold and regulate divine light, which operates at a much higher vibration than anything it was previously accustomed to. It's not broken, it's upgrading. Many people undergoing this transformation report sensations during meditation or moments of stillness: heat rising up the spine, vibrations in the hands and feet, a pulsing crown chakra. These are signs that your Kundalini energy is awakening and moving upward, clearing blockages and opening channels so that higher consciousness can flow more freely through you. Some describe it as a burning fire, others as a cool current. However it presents, it is sacred and necessary. Your sleep patterns may also be changing dramatically. Some nights you may find yourself wide awake for hours, unable to shut your mind off. Other nights you sleep deeply but wake up feeling like you haven't rested at all. That's because your soul is doing intense work while your body rests, healing old wounds, rewriting cellular memories, and integrating new energetic codes. Sleep becomes less about physical rest and more about spiritual realignment.
Okay. And we're back. So, Heng Yi, I find what he says as quite liberating, because I know a lot of people are going through these energetic shifts now. It is what we came here for, right? The ascension process. But it's not without the symptoms that come through. So to hear it listed, and as with the Pam and Amar's video, I will be putting the full versions actually onto the newsletter, so that you can watch them in their totality, because they're excellent. I chose the bits that obviously really resonate with where we're going with the show today. But I do think that, this is the fact is, as Heng Yi put it, old beliefs are being uprooted. And it was interesting because yesterday I met a few friends, and we were talking generally. Now, they're not on this same path, and so I don't really tend to go into this at all, very much at all anyway, put it that way. But conversations started to go towards life and death and afterlife and have we been here before kind of thing. And obviously for the rest of the table, they didn't actually believe that we'd ever been here before. It was just like you die and that's the end of it. And I was thinking something that triggered something in my mind recently, and it was coming back to something called the RAS, which you may well be familiar with, the reticular activation system, which is this thing whereby we think that we have free will choices, and indeed we do. But if we're confronted, say, by two political candidates to choose from, then we would imagine that we look at the information that's out there with discernment and decide which one we want to back. What happens in reality with us human beings is that we typically choose pretty quickly which one we're going to support, and then filter the information that comes through so that we only see the stuff that backs up the decision we've already made. Now, when you apply that to a belief system, what we're saying here is that once we have been programmed and conditioned through many decades of life, it is very difficult, as with my friends around the table yesterday, for them to break out of their belief patterns. And the same thing I would say would be true for my dad as well, because one of the things that Amar said, for instance, was if it's, he was saying about his parents who say, well, if it's not on the news, or if it's on the news, it must be real, right? Now, many of us realize that the news is very heavily manipulated to match the narrative that we are being fed, that we can then, the puppet masters want us to think this way. Now, that's not their reality, and I honor that, because that used to not be that I used to follow exactly that same line of thinking as well. So I'm 7 years now into the journey of really discovering what life is about, and it's fantastic, and I love it. It is liberating to see where we're heading and what's going on, but you realize that this reticular activation system keeps people in this reality that we've been fed for many decades. And it will be more difficult for many to actually to get out of that. Now, they may have their epiphany moments, as I did, like when I went for that reading, and it just like destroyed my reticular activation system to a point where I could not have gone back to it. I had to accept the fact that the world was a different version to what I'd actually realized. And that set me on the path to dig under the surface and find out what it was really all about. But had I had the option of applying my reticular activation system that keeps me safe in my ego and blocking everything that doesn't fit inside my box, I would probably be still there now. So, it's going to be an interesting challenge. But certainly, I think that there are changes that will become increasingly evident. We know we're living in chaos at the moment. We know there's a lot of stuff that's going on out in the world that is not good. And we're also going to see things like natural disasters or whatever it's going to be. I don't know. But and so then there's the solar activity, and then there's a great solar flash. The great solar flash is something to be welcomed, because that's something that raises the bar for everybody. And that's the point where everybody will have that position like I did of no going back, and is a chance to elevate everyone. But there is something that we can do in this. I'm excited about the fact that and gratitude also to Lindy and to Joy in our community, who kind of suggested to me Pam Gregory videos for this week as well, because I do like what she's doing with that 15-minute meditation. I will be joining that on numerous occasions in the future, because this is all about overcoming fragmentation by bringing as many of us together at the same time as possible, putting positive intent and positive energy into the world. And quantum mechanics tells us that this is real. This is not just made up woo-woo nonsense, that we now know that this actually makes a difference. So absolutely, why not? It doesn't cost anything. And, Jolay leads us all the time through these guided meditations, visualizations, which in its way becomes its own force in the morphogenic field, right? And I love that. So Jolay, let's bring you back in at that point and see what you'd like to add.
Because you see, that's why visualization is so important when you talk about that reticular activation system, and really changing that, because those neurotransmitters, man, when they start, what do they call, causing grooves in the brain, it gets really difficult, right, or it can be challenging. And she spoke about how chaos, sometimes, or something that shocks the system is what it takes to facilitate change. And I'm here to say I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I no more struggle, no more chaos. I feel like the up leveling that the monk is talking about is just that. When you think about a caterpillar and a butterfly, the caterpillar, it looks like a struggle, all those legs, all the slowness. But as soon as it goes through that phase of a chrysalis and moving through into the butterfly, it lets go of all of that. Yes. Now, the lifespan, that's a whole other thing. But at least in that iteration,
Yeah.
there is this lightness. And I
Yeah.
feel like that is what we are going through. We're moving through this, letting go of the shell, letting go of the struggle, and moving into this ease and grace and love with what we're doing. So this time, the way to do it would be together, collectively, because it's when we isolate is when the struggle and the chaos really shows up.
Yes. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's something that, in fact, I was doing a little something earlier for the newsletter talking about the metamorphosis that mankind is going through, because that's exactly it, the caterpillar to the butterfly.
Yeah.
We don't, a caterpillar doesn't know it's a caterpillar. It doesn't know it's going to become a butterfly. The same way humanity doesn't know that we're heading towards a world of unspeakable beauty, but we have to create it,
Right.
right? It's down to us. We have so much that we've been dumbed down from,
Mhm.
that we can step back into, and that empowerment of us on an individual level, multiplied by the collective consciousness of us coming together in a like-minded, positive frame of mind, can move a mountain, right? And that's it. That's
They
what.
say like the faith of a mustard seed is all that's necessary, right? So I
Yes.
didn't mean to interrupt, but I just wanted to make it clear that I hear some people already going, what do you mean isolating is giving me peace? It's giving me, it's people that are giving me drama. But, we have to go back to the thought process of what are you attracting? Who are you being that is in your life? And that's where we want to really begin, because I know that when I get out of my own way and I'm working in a certain way, I'm attracting people in my life that are helping me get to where I want to go, that are helping me raise my vibration. So if that's a concern of yours, like, no, being alone is peace. Yes, it can be peaceful, but no man is an island, and it really takes all of us to get us there.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And talking of communities and the likes, thank you for your comments, Denise. And also we got Sean the Shaman back with us again today. Great to see you back with us, Sean, and for your
So,
comments along the way. And as she says, it has a ripple effect across the whole collective, and it does.
yes,
And that's really what it's all about. It's pulling together that energy into the quantum field and making a huge difference. Way more than we've ever been taught from our education system or our government or any other, corporation out there. The power that we have is incredible. And
yes,
that's what we're stepping back into. Fantastic. Okay, Jolie. Well, do you think should we dive in now? Is it time to go for the meditation?
yes. Let's move into the meditation.
Cool. Right. Okay, here we go. We started off with Tia from the Arcturian Council telling us all about the solar flash, and we are going back to finish with Tia from the Arcturian Council to actually lead us into Jolie's guided meditation. And there's some pretty profound stuff here that leads us into it. And then, this has got Jolie will have us moving from the darkness into the light and whatever else other magic she has. So here we go. Bear with me a second.
Remember that attuning to these new energies is not a passive process of waiting. It is an active co-creation with Source. You can consciously choose to engage in your own energetic attunement. This might be through meditation, prayer, singing, or any creative expression that elevates your spirit. It can be as simple as taking a moment each day to feel gratitude and to tune your awareness to the subtle energies around you. By doing so, you sharpen your sensitivity to the flows of energy that are guiding you. You will begin to perceive the gentle currents of love and inspiration that are always emanating from Source. Following those currents will help you glide smoothly into the next phase of your journey. We also encourage you to connect with the crystalline grid of your Earth and the Unity Consciousness grid that connects all awakened beings. Additionally, the natural world holds great power to heal and attune you. Spending time under the open sky, among trees, or by the ocean can cleanse and uplift your energy field, helping to synchronize you with Gaia's high vibrational rhythm. By connecting in these ways, through nature, through gratitude, and through intention, you strengthen the network of light that is holding space for ascension. You have so much support available to you, from your spirit guides and angelic helpers to collectives like ours, and of course, from your own soul and higher self. When you consciously attune your vibration to love, to joy, and to peace, you are effectively dialing into the frequency of New Earth. You become receptive to the light codes and guidance that are constantly being broadcast to you. Then, rather than feeling overwhelmed by the changes, you ride them with clarity and even excitement, knowing that they are carrying you and all of humanity to a higher state of consciousness. We remind you that everything is unfolding in divine order, and you are exactly where you need to be. The great solar flash and the dawning of New Earth are closer than you might imagine, but there is no need to fear or to fixate on a date. By preparing in consciousness, by surrendering to Source, embracing the fluid now moment, and living from your heart, you are already stepping into New Earth's frequency. Every act of kindness, every moment of gratitude, every time you choose love over fear, you are aligning with that higher timeline. You are building the New Earth from the inside out, moment by moment. Indeed, this is a magnificent time to be alive on Earth, as the darkness gives way to dawn.
Take a deep breath in and gently exhale as you put your feet flat on the floor, your palms face up on your thighs, and your awareness to the center of your chest. As you take another deep breath in and gently exhale from a place of love and in your heart, ground your energy, yes, all the way from your chest. Visualize and imagine a grounding cord of a natural earth element moving down through your third chakra, your second, your first, and then through Mother Earth as it moves through her crust and it begins to travel at the speed of love and roots itself in the core of Mother Earth. Take a moment and give her gratitude and ask her, is there anything that I can do for you? And listen for the answer as those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles blanket the inside and the outside of your grounding cord, loosening up and getting rid of, disintegrating anything you're ready to let go of, anything that no longer serves you and that's ready to be released. These golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles, scrubbing away all of that energy as you command your aura to be 1.5 feet around you, your higher self standing at the power position at a comfortable distance above your crown, and you're snapping in that astral body, feet in feet, knees in knees, hips in hips, hands in hands, elbows in elbows, shoulders in shoulders, and head in head. So feel what it feels like as you breathe with the rhythm of your body and are grounded from a place of love, of unconditional love, of blessings, and of deservedness. And as you breathe deeply in through your nose, I want you to visualize the bottoms of your feet opening like the lens of a camera as you exhale. And you're going to call in and just say, I call in 15% earth energy of a color that resonates with you. Have it pool into the bottoms of your feet, travel up the side channels of your legs. As you take another breath in, deeply in through your nose, and as you exhale, visualize your crown opening like the lens of a camera, and that 85% cosmic gold life force energy comes cascading down from the heavens, raining down on your higher self. And as it focuses itself through your aura layer, it opens, and your crown, as it then focuses, that 85% energy begins to beam in on that cranium and on that brain, dissolving and resolving any of the synapses and neurotransmitters that no longer serve you, opening up the ones of the reticular activation system that speaks to abundance, truth, authenticity, connectivity. So visualize here and now, while this energy is coursing through your brain, this cosmic life force, see yourself in a new paradigm. One where there's ease and love and grace. And you hold that space as you breathe with the rhythm of your body, and that gold cosmic life force energy begins to move down that spine, lighting up each vertebra, letting your nervous system know that it is safe for you to move into this new energy of ease and grace and love. As it moves down through each of those chakras and the ganglia and the spine, moving you back into health and wellness, recalibrating you to the highest, most loving and best version of yourself. As that essence, 85% cosmic gold and that 15% earth energy of a color that resonates with you meets in that first chakra. Some of it goes down the grounding cord, but the rest of it begins to fill you up like water fills up a cup. So that essence begins to mix in with that earth energy that's in the bottom of your feet as it moves up, creating wellness in all your veins and arteries, your ligaments, your bones, your muscles, your cartilage, all of it moving out disease and illness and inflammation, filling up each cell with love as this essence moves up beyond your knees, moving up your thighs and your hips, as it then meets in the colon and the reproductive organs and the intestines and the stomach, the uterus, the ovaries, as it moves up into the spleen, the kidney, the gallbladder, the liver, the heart, the rib cage, the aorta. All of the systems of your body are being recalibrated and brought back into wellness as this essence of Mother Earth and the divine bifurcate and separate and go down into your hands, removing and resolving any stiffness, lack of flexibility, any pain, as it moves up the wrists, the arms, and the elbows. And then it comes up the arms into the neck, and then it begins to come up into the face and the head and sprouts out of the side channels of the crown. Your hands open as this beautiful essence sprouts out of your hands and your feet, the sides of your feet chakras, and begins to fill up your aura layer, cleaning you off all of the judgments and the criticisms and the darkness has now become food for the light, bringing you into this 5D energy of grace and ease, of positive thought, deservedness and blessings, as you breathe with the rhythm of your body, grounded from a place of love and knowingness. It's your birthright to live in ease and let go of that struggle. So as you breathe with the rhythm of your body and the essence of Mother Earth and the divine move and flow through your energy system, lighting up your soul architecture. I want you to open the double doors of your heart and allow for that love to pour out. And also open those back doors in the back and allow for love to pour out of the back of you, raining down on all of the judgment and the labels and the people that gave you them. They like to call them haters. Send all that love back there to all those haters as they move you forward towards the light. And you let go of your reputation and your ego and your body and your career and your relationships. And you're just pure, unadulterated spirit, the stuff of creation, the limitlessness where there are no boundaries. And the boundaries that are created are made in your imagination. What does it feel like to sit in abundance? What does it feel like for grace and ease and love to be your baseline? And as you breathe with the rhythm of your body, feel what that feels like. To sit in the space of deservedness, of ease, of grace, and of love. And abundance. Abundance coming to you and coming forth from you and into the world. See that relationship, that love pouring forth from your heart into Mother Earth, and her giving you that energy through your feet, and the divine just loving you as this beautiful system and pattern relationship between Mother Earth, the divine, and you and your environment. And just sit in that essence of the space. As then you see that love begins to light up the toroidal field with all the etchings of your purpose being lit up with the fire of discipline, of motivation, and of connectivity to what is the most loving and good. And that pyramid with the capstone powers up and spins as that white light begins to encompass you from the heavens, like a laser that just spreads out into the universe. As you sit in this energy of abundance, of manifestation, transmuting any darkness and any shadow work into light. You've learned all the powerful and positive lessons from those experiences. All of you knows what was really happening. So now it's time to move into your most loving good. What does that look like? What does that feel like? As you breathe with the rhythm of your body and you see yourself well. You see yourself linking hands with your community, your loving relationships, your partnerships blossoming like a garden that's well fed and watered. The sun shining down on you, creating a pattern of health within you. And you're noticing and aligning with all the abundance around you. All the leaves on the trees, all the rocks in the garden, all the grains of sand. So much abundance. And that is you. That is us. So as you breathe with the rhythm of your body and this beautiful earth energy, a color that resonates with you, and the cosmic gold, 85% of it, mixes in as you pour out love into yourself and your aura layer, into your environment. And that aura layer is magnetizing in all of your purpose, the things that align you with your purpose. As the etchings on that toroidal field become clearer and clearer, that grid line that's just filled with love, connecting you to Mother Earth and the divine. As you breathe with the rhythm of your body and move from a state of struggle and chaos into grace and ease, abundance and love. As you hold that frequency and vibration in real time, creating the life that you came here to live. One of love and one of joy. So as you take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale, I want you to close your feet chakras like the lens of a camera and visualize that earth energy receding back down. And you take another deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale, visualize closing the front and the back of your heart and your hand chakras, allowing for all of that love and earth energy and cosmic gold life force to settle. And as you take another deep breath in through your nose, and as you exhale, close your crown and see that golden cosmic life force energy ascend back up into the heavens as you sit basking in that beautiful white light that is just shining down from heaven. And you're rooted and grounded into Mother Earth. We're going to put a golden sun above our head. And in this golden sun, we're going to write unconditional love and abundance. You're going to go ahead and bring that down through the higher self, the aura layer. I know the crown is closed. It's okay. Bring it down. All the way down, it just absorbs down the grounding cord, chasing away those golden rose-shaped scrubbing bubbles into the core of Mother Earth. As you are brought into the present moment. Take another deep breath in. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Beautiful.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great. You know, plenty. I love the idea of the moving back into grace, ease, abundance, love, joy. Could feel it all swimming. Great way. Great way to kind of start to wrap up the show there. So,
Yes.
Okay. So, going into wrap up mode in that case, then. Anyway, so thank you to everybody who have been here today. As always, we will have the edited version of this show will go out onto the newsletter tomorrow. Anybody who wishes to join our community, drop me an email to johndrew@elevatedplanet.life or send a message through elevatedplanet.life/contact page that gets you to our contact page. And Jolie, what else do we have to ask people to do?
To like, share, and subscribe, just to get the word out there and the message out there of self-love and connectivity. So we really appreciate you tuning in, and we'd love it if you would share.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it is important, and I think for those can resonate with this kind of message, absolutely, we would love to expand the community, share the love, and get more and more people involved in this because the more we can do that, the more we get into this collective consciousness and raise ourselves into that world of unspeakable beauty. And yeah, also just to mention again, Cottage of the Priests is what Sean the Shaman's channel is now called. And one of the things that really intrigues me about Sean as well is that she channels light language, which I find really fascinating. So anybody who wants to check that out, Cottage of the Priests, it's quite a fascinating channel to kind of check out. So. And yeah, so thank you to Sean, and also thank you to Joy and to Denise who for coming through with comments as well today. Great to have a community with us. So I believe that's going to be it then through till next week.
Yep.
Watch out for that space weather. That was what I was saying. It's kind of like, if there's any blackouts or anything, you'll know why, because there has been a lot of activity, and just keep an eye on it. Maybe going to check out Stefan Burns's work on YouTube as well, because he's always very good. Usually keeps at least one a day coming out there with the latest on that, with all the technical backup on it. So it's always good to know. And keep looking out the window at night as well, because you might well be able to see a little bit of Aurora from way further south than is normal. But again, that is part of the stuff that we're going through right now. Anything else you think, Jolie?
No, just join us next Sunday for more love and more joy.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Jolie. Thank you to our community, and we will see you in a week's time.